get started then. Hello, this is Crypto Mystic welcoming you to Pandora's Box official AMA on this glorious July 20th, 2022. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, you'll learn where the presale will happen and how to participate in it. And you'll have a chance to ask questions, of course, and then we will host our first Tokenomics 101 session and show you how UNBOX was set up, the way it is, and why, as Suryan gives us a little tokenomics lesson and mirror, how UNBOX was created. So let's get started with the presale. Gianna, you want to share with us where it will happen and how to participate?
Yeah. So as you guys know, presale will start in 2 days, so July 22nd, and will be happening on Pinksale. We'll create a step-by-step video on how to join the UNBOX presale. So for those who are now tuned into our AMA, we'll be explaining the process right now, but there'll also be a video, and what I'm going to say now will also be written down in the summary that will go also with our video on YouTube. So no worries if you skipped for a second. So to go to presale, we will give you a link, and this will always be pinned in our group. Make sure that you have the correct one from our official channels, and you can see all the information related to the presale on the link. You should check that everything. So be careful when you're going to the link, because we want to avoid scams or other projects trying to say their unbox Pandora's box. So to buy the presale, you're going to insert on the page the amount of BNB that you are going to use. In the amount section, there is max 3 BNB per wallet. So be mindful of that. And they'll also be saying the amount of the max that it can be invested in. The corresponding amount of presale tokens will be calculated automatically below the BNB amount. And then you just have to click the buy button if you're connected to Metamask. If you're connected to it, then it will ask for you to confirm the transaction. It will show you the fee required to pay for that transaction. And then if you agree, you just have to confirm. But if you're not connected to MetaMask, which is my case as an example, you can connect to your wallet by clicking Connect Wallet right after you insert the amount of BNB that you want to get for UNBOX. After buying, you'll see that there will be a change in the amount and the your purchased section. So we have a 3 max contribution. If you put 1 BNB, you will see the amount now, instead of 3, because you already added 1, will be of 2 BNB left. This will help you if you want to invest multiple times, a little bit each time, to give you the idea when you connect to your wallet of how many BNBs you still have and you still can contribute with.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for that step-by-step, Joanna. And like you mentioned, this will be recapped in the video as well as in the comments in text for those that prefer reading over, well, the audio, I suppose. So perfect. So I'd like to open the space up for questions right now. See if anybody has any question. If you're on the line, you can unmute yourself and ask your question via voice, or you can type it into the Telegram main chat in our main group. I'm going to see if there's anybody who has any questions. Okay, the chat seems quiet, and anyone? No questions. Okay, great. Well, then we'll move on to the next segment, which is our Tokenomics 101. So, Suryan, are you ready to enlighten us?
Well, I'll do my best at least. So I want to start with a little bit to address one misunderstanding that many has in the space around what tokenomics is, because there's two aspects of what many people call tokenomics, and that is what is actual tokenomics, which is the allocation of tokens, what is being sold, what's being held for the team, how much is for liquidity, how much pre-sale, etc., etc. But you also have another part, which is token mechanics, uh, which is so the first one is basically token economics, which is tokenomics, and then you have token mechanics. And the token mechanics is more the the functionalities of the tokens themselves. So by contract, for example, Unbox is going to have a buy and sell tax built into it, that is going to be distributed in amount of, in a variety of manners, which I will go into in a little bit. So I want just to give a little bit of a visual understanding of what there is to build the tokenomics and the token mechanics in a project. One of the ways that I like to visualize this: imagine you have a scale, like old school scale, where you put a little bit of weight on one side, it moves it moves down, and you get it. Um, so for every aspect you have, it will lean in one direction, and you can add many. You can add 2, you can add 5, you can add 20. Depends on how you build your project, each weighing in one direction. And it's always about finding the balance of, like, how can you make sure that there is enough, for example, liquidity for actually the movement and the allocations to be fair for both community, but also enough for building teams in plural, in our case as example. um, so in our tokenomics, we have set 31% for initial liquidity, which is yeah, that's around normal, not high, not low, really. And this is basically the what decides the market beyond what the tokens people already have. That if they want to put it on the market, well, then that comes back to the market. You have 17 pre-sale allocation. You have 15% for foundation and development, 13% for private sale allocation, 13% for marketing, partnerships, and community growth, and 11% for team and advisors. And yeah, so like we originally had a higher allocation for team and advisors, and we realized that it would be nice to open for other team models and other reward models for community growth. Because one of the things that we are always looking towards in Pandora is community growth, and how can we fund both what we want to do, but how can we also make engines to support other projects to grow. And this is something that you will see once we have started our development in full power, and more of our vision will come out. Over to our token mechanics, and we have the main function, at least, of the token is the tax reward, and we have a 2.5% reward to the direct rewards, which these will not be sold when there is uptrend. Like, one of the things with our token is that we want to have the biggest possible market movement, both, like in both directions, to make sure that we can have profitable tradability, but also have rewards that is for everybody that is involved when there is the downtrend. So And as mentioned before, this is things we can, like, we have ways where we can play this in our favor in many directions. 2% to the treasury. Our treasury is supposed to be a little bit a mix of either, like, community can vote on either building infrastructure pieces, which will be owned partly or in full by the Pandora box holders and whatever is there. It can be investments in other projects that we know is up and coming that can have rewards for the community at large. And who knows what people can come up with over time that can essentially reward the whole ecosystem. Then we have 1% for marketing and development. This is quite self-explanatory. Like, this is a wallet that will be growing, that will be used directly for day-to-day marketing, development, like where we need a new protocol, etc. We also have inside of the tokenomics, there is also a set of tokens that is specific for this. And none of the, just to put this out there, none of the team tokens, none of the marketing tokens, none of the tokens that is under the team holding is ever going to be sold. This is there because we have the rewards, and that is going to boost the productivity of the ecosystem. And then, of course, there is 0.5% team wallet. And that is, of course, because we intend to have a growing team, and we want it to be fairly rewarding for everybody involved in this. All of this is things that we can change over time, and this is also things that the community will be able to have votes and have a say in once we are up and running. Am I missing something of this? Yeah, I can add a end note that many projects, when you look at their white paper, when you look at their light paper, and you look through their tokenomics, you look through their token mechanics, you will notice that many of them is aimed towards short-term benefits and not really for long-term growth. Like, you have projects now that is still going, some of them that is 15-20% tax for buy and sell. Like, there's a few people that's going to get really rich, and the rest of them is going to lose a lot of money. And that's the reality of it. That's just, like, there is so many projects out there that does not think longevity, and because there is no quick money. But we're not here necessarily just for quick money. We're here for long-term growth, and that's what we aim for.
Yes, and it was very clear and important as you developed the token mechanics, Suryan. You thought long and hard, and how you explained it to me, which was really helpful with the scale, is like if you're putting a certain amount of allocation on one side of the scale, it's tipping it in that direction. So you want to balance that with something else, and your aim as you thought through what should go where and how much to put in each side of the scale essentially was to favor long-term growth and to really have a strong focus on that.
And at the same time, to keep in mind the omni-win situation, that traders that is boosting the reward are also able to make money in the market, because, like, if you have 40% total in buying and sell tax as example, it's one of the a little bit crazier examples in my head, but the possibility of making profit for a trader is very small. Like, it's very tricky to have, like, you need more than 40% movement of the market to be able to make a little bit of profit. And,
right.
And this is also something that in a project like what we're building, like, we need liquidity. Like that's just how it is. That's what is going to feed a lot of the development that is to come.
Right, and you had something to share about liquidity and allocation of tokens. Remember that? We were chatting about that. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I was talking about also many projects that is rather when it comes to liquidity, that's another little bit of a tricky, because we're raising money, and of course we don't want to spend more money with anything really than what we can, than what we have to for, like, you know, it's a war chest. We need to use that with care, but at the same time not underuse nor overuse. So one of the big issues with a lot of these projects is also that they underput, like, there's some projects put, for example, 30% of the raised funds in liquidity. Like now you have, sure, there can be really big movements of price in the project, but now if one of the private sale or pre-sale investors dump, like, you have a straight line down. So essentially what I'm seeing out of this is that, like, we want to put as much of the raised funds into liquidity as possible to make sure that we actually have a more stable but at the same time movable token, without having the crazy extreme cases of movement just because one or two people is moving some coins. So that's been one of the puzzle pieces that we have been working on to figure out what is a good allocation. Like, how do we make sure that we put enough liquidity in there that it will not damage the market, regardless. Of course, it will not look pretty if everybody sells, but that is not, how to say, that's nothing we can do against it, except building as much as we can, and to moving the market and bringing in as much good people that we can. So whoever sells, they will regret.
Right.
But that's, yeah, there is quite a lot of stuff to consider when you are launching tokens. Like now, I'm not just talking the base level. Also, like, you have layers of organization in the team, or if you have teams, how do they interoperate with each other? There is how do you reward everybody fairly in teams? How do you make sure that the rewards also goes to the token holders, like in a fair manner, and not overly tilted, so just the team, for example, end up having a lot of funds. Like, there is a lot of, as mentioned, is a scale that we always have to keep in mind a little bit, and sometimes it's not really right in the beginning, so we tune it in. And this is why I'm also saying that, sure, this is what we believe, this is what I believe is the correct way of doing it, but maybe we learn after a few months that, okay, maybe we should tweak it a little bit, maybe there needs a little bit more funds there and a little bit less funds over here. That's things that we can play with, and things that we should figure out as a community and build the Commonwealth pools and build the projects that is around, and yeah, make cool shit.
Yeah, well, and I like that it's something that can be, like you said, tweaked, evolved as we have more data and we can see how things go. But what I also really appreciate is how you have held this OmniWin value that is so dear to us here at Unbox in everything that we're doing, but specifically around the creation of the token and how can it really be fair to everyone who's participating. And that's really obvious and, in my opinion, really great. So. Okay, so we do have a question that came in from People Base, and the question is this launching on Uniswap v2?
It's going to be on Pancake Swap V2 as we are working on Binance Chain, but it's essentially the same. It's essentially a fork, so very much the same.
So it's not Uniswap, but it's Pancake Swap.
Exactly.
Okay.
Interface and pretty much everything should be the same. It's of course a different website and a little bit different UI, but as far as my understanding goes, it's almost an exact copy.
Okay.
On a
So very
chain.
similar.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Either you can unmute yourself and ask the question live here with us, or you can type it into the main Telegram group. If you have another, if somebody else has a question. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions coming in. All right. Well, unless there's any other burning shares from any one of the team members or anyone who's here, maybe it's not a question, but there's something you want to share. I'll open the floor for that. No takers. Okay. All right. Well, then this concludes our AMA for tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Surian, for this great explanation on tokenomics, and Joanna for giving us the update on how to participate in the presale. Thank you, all the team members, for being here, and thank you, of course, amazing Unboxer, for being with us, and just for your support, your presence, and being part of this exciting journey that we're all on. We appreciate you so much. And we will have another AMA next week. So I look forward to, we look forward to seeing you there.
And a lunch party right after. So next week will be an exciting one.
That's right, the launch party. That's going to be fun. So thank you so much, everyone. Talk to you next week.